Here we are, Mark, the Maplewood Hotel.
Evelyn and Mark stood before the imposing entrance of the Maplewood Hotel. Its once grand facade was now shrouded in shadows and neglect. The air hung heavy with the weight of forgotten stories and unspoken warnings. They were drawn to the hotel's infamous reputation, a beacon for thrill-seekers like themselves.
Don't go looking for trouble. Some doors are best left unopened.
The old receptionist, her face etched with a lifetime of secrets, handed them the key to room 206.
Well, Evelyn, are you ready for this?
Evelyn and Mark exchanged a mischievous glance. They thrived on the thrill of the unknown. The receptionist's warnings only fueled their excitement. Ignoring her pleas, they made their way down the dimly lit hallway, their footsteps echoing through the silent corridors. With bated breath, they unlocked the door to room 206. The air inside was stale and heavy, thick with the scent of decay and the weight of unseen eyes. They stepped inside, eager to unravel the mysteries that awaited them.
This place is something else, isn't it?
The room was dimly lit, the last rays of the setting sun struggling to penetrate the dusty curtains. Evelyn and Mark unpacked their bags, their laughter echoing in the cavernous space. The room felt strangely still, as if holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. As dusk descended, shadows began to stretch across the walls. The furniture, draped in worn velvet, seemed to shift and whisper in the growing darkness. The temperature dropped, sending a chill down Evelyn's spine.
It's just an old hotel. They're supposed to be creepy.
Mark, ever the skeptic, dismissed her concerns. But even he couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. The wallpaper, faded and stained, seemed to writhe with grotesque figures. Evelyn could have sworn she saw a face in the swirling patterns, its eyes following her every move. The room was coming alive, its secrets whispering from the very walls. Night fell, enveloping the hotel in an eerie silence. The silence, however, was deceptive. It was broken by the creaking of floorboards, the rustling of curtains, and the faintest of whispers that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. Evelyn and Mark lay in the darkness, their senses heightened. They listened intently, trying to identify the source of the whispers. They were soft, almost inaudible, yet filled with a chilling urgency.
Did you hear that?
Suddenly, the lamp on the bedside table flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Fear tightened its grip on Evelyn's chest. She reached for Mark's hand, her own clammy and cold.
It's just a power surge,
Mark said, his voice strained. But even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease that had settled over them. The whispers seemed to be getting louder, closer, as if someone or something was trying to communicate with them. A cold spot settled over the bed, sending shivers down Evelyn's spine. She felt a presence in the room, something unseen but undeniably real. It was a suffocating feeling, as if an icy hand was closing around her throat. Mark, sensing her fear, held her close.
It's all right.
He whispered, trying to sound brave, but his words rang hollow in the darkness. He too felt the palpable shift in the atmosphere, the growing sense of dread that permeated the very air they breathed. A low sob, barely audible at first, drifted from the direction of the closet. Evelyn's blood ran cold. The sound was filled with such despair, such utter hopelessness, that it pierced her to the core. Mark sat up in bed, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and disbelief. He listened intently, his body tense. The sobbing continued, a mournful wail that seemed to reverberate through the room, chilling them to the bone.
Panic surged through Evelyn. She had to get out of that room, away from the whispers, the shadows, the chilling sobs. She shook Mark's arm, her voice a frantic whisper. "We have to leave, now!"
Mark, his own fear mounting, nodded in agreement. He fumbled for the light switch, but the bulb remained stubbornly dark. They were trapped in a darkness that seemed to pulsate with unseen horrors.
They scrambled off the bed and stumbled towards the door, their hands outstretched, their hearts pounding in their chests. But the door wouldn't budge. It was as if an unseen force was holding it shut, keeping them prisoner in that room of whispers and shadows. Evelyn pounded on the door, her cries for help echoing unanswered in the hallway. Despair washed over her. They were trapped, at the mercy of whatever malevolent entity shared their prison. A sudden rapping at the window startled Evelyn and Mark. They whirled around to see a figure standing on the fire escape, silhouetted against the moonlit sky. It was an elderly woman, her face hidden in the shadows of a dark shawl. The woman gestured for them to open the window.
Hesitantly, cautiously, Mark unlatched the window and slid it open. A cold gust of wind swept into the room, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and unsettling.
"You shouldn't be here," the woman said, her voice raspy with age. "This place is not meant for the living." Her eyes, dark and intense, seemed to bore into them, seeing past their fear, into their very souls. Evelyn and Mark, still reeling from their terror, could only stare at the woman in astonishment. Who was she? And how did she know about their fear? The woman continued, her voice barely a whisper.
Secrets that some are desperate to uncover, but which are best left undisturbed. This room, she said, it holds secrets.
Mark, his curiosity piqued, took a step closer. She held out a hand, her palm open, revealing a tarnished silver key.
"And what do you want? Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper.
But be warned, she added, her voice taking on a chilling edge. Understanding comes at a price. And this, she held up the key, this is the key to understanding. I am the keeper of this place, the woman replied, her eyes fixed on the key in her hand.
Evelyn, sensing danger, reached for Mark's arm.
Don't, she whispered, we should just go.
But Mark, his fascination outweighing his fear, seemed not to hear her. The woman stepped into the room, her gaze sweeping over the terrified faces of Evelyn and Mark.
This room, she began, her voice heavy with sorrow. It was once filled with love, laughter, and the warmth of family. My parents, she continued, her voice cracking with emotion, they lived here, loved here, and died here.
A single tear traced a path down her wrinkled cheek.
They were taken too soon, victims of a tragic accident.
Evelyn and Mark exchanged a look of unease. The room, once filled with their own terror, now seemed to vibrate with the woman's grief. The air grew heavy with sadness, the silence punctuated by the woman's soft sobs.
They linger here, the woman whispered, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and longing, unable to find peace.
She clutched the key to her chest, her knuckles white with the intensity of her grip.
They are drawn to the curious, the thrill seekers, those who seek answers in the darkness.
The woman turned her gaze to Evelyn and Mark, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and warning.
You sought thrills, she said, her voice low and steady. But some doors are not meant to be opened. Some secrets are best left buried. Those who come here seeking only excitement, she continued, her voice hardening. They find something else entirely. They find the darkness that consumes, the fear that never sleeps.
Evelyn and Mark listened, their blood running cold. The woman's words struck a chord of fear deep within them. They had come seeking a thrill, but they had found something far more sinister, something that threatened to consume them entirely.
Go now, the woman said, her voice softening. Leave this place and never return. Forget what you have seen, forget what you have heard, and pray you are not followed.
Evelyn and Mark didn't need to be told twice. They fled from room 206, their hearts pounding in their chests. They ran through the darkened hallways of the Maplewood Hotel, the echoes of their own fear chasing after them. They burst out into the cool night air, gasping for breath, their lungs burning. They didn't stop running until they were far away from the hotel, its looming silhouette a distant nightmare. As they drove away, the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon, Evelyn and Mark vowed never to speak of their experience again. The Maplewood Hotel, with its whispers and shadows, its chilling sobs and haunting secrets, would remain a dark stain on their memories, a constant reminder of the night they had tempted fate and lived to regret it. But some lessons are learned too late. The fear that had taken root in their hearts that night would never truly leave them. It would linger, a constant shadow, a chilling reminder of the unseen forces that watch and wait, eager to claim those who dare to seek thrills over understanding.